Thank you so much for attending. I am Mustafa Yomi from CloudSense. I head industry solutions at CloudSense. Before we move into talking about our Catalyst, I'd just like to take a moment to introduce or have our Catalyst partners to introduce themselves. So we'll start with Yossi, please.
Hi, I'm Yossi Zohar from Salesforce. I lead the communication solutions for the Salesforce industry team.
Hi, I'm Andrew Davison. I'm from Socia. We're a solution integrator down in Australia, and previously I was with Telstra where we started off this Catalyst.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Trotter with Nokia, and I'm on the business development team.
Thank you very much. So we started this journey called the Catalyst Mindreader about a year ago with these partners plus Socia that I forgot to put that blurb on there, but basically 5 partners got together with, that includes Telstra, that is our champion in this case. The idea really is to deliver an intensely, and I mean an intensely personalized customer experience, right? And so to that end, there's a number of things that need to happen in the back end in order to really deliver that Amazon-like customer experience. Except in this particular instance, it's a little bit more complex than what Amazon is actually doing in terms of really delivering that awesome customer experience that we are so used to these days, right? And we'll explore that in just a minute. So there's two key concepts behind this ultimate goal of delivering an intensely personal customer experience. The first component is intent management. And that really is the idea behind the Mindreader, which is you really want to discern the customer's intent. In other words, sort of try to read the customer's mind, or at least their anticipation, in terms of what it is they are expecting, what it is they need, and above all, what it is that they want from you as a service provider. So we want to exactly cater to those expectations, nothing more, nothing less. Right? That's the idea behind it. But in order to really deliver that kind of, to be able to read the customer's intent and then do something with it, a whole host of things need to happen on the back-end systems. How do I go take information from an AI system and then leverage that to tell the constituent systems to deliver or to do something regarding customer experience? Right? So that's a really interesting, good segue, I think, for me to ask Yossi a question as to really, just Yossi, tell us the challenges with delivering this intensely personalized customer experience from an end-to-end stack perspective.
Yeah, so customers today would like to use digital channels. All of us have smartphones. All of us know our way around the internet. So we want to do business with companies that we do business with through digital channels. But the problem is that we expect a seamless experience. And today, one of the problems that telecommunication providers face is that their commerce channels, their digital channels for shopping, for example, are disconnected from the rest of the organization. They have a separate catalog. They have a separate ordering process. They're not always validating the orders, by the way, online. And so that can lead to a number of challenges in terms of converting these shoppers when we identify that they have an intent, that we don't even know their intent, but if we could identify that they're shoppers, converting them requires that those orders will be captured accurately and consistently. But the problem is it's not happening today.
That's right. Thank you, Yossi. So I want to switch to Andrew from your perspective. You spent a lot of years at Telstra worrying and thinking about these things, and you've been a thought leader in this space for us. What is really the cost of not doing this connected commerce that delivers this fantastic customer experience in the telecommunications industry?
Everybody knows it's massive. You know, focusing on the customer experience is everything. At the end of the day, if we do get the customer experience right, they'll come back to us. They'll want more products. They'll use our products more. It'll become more a part of their integrated life. The challenge is that connectivity that Yossi was talking about. The models we have of the customer exist up in the sales engine, sometimes in the CRM and sometimes in the assurance models, and they're kind of all slightly different. None of them usually talk to the network. And the fascinating thing about the difference between the experience you get in an Amazon-like experience and here, what we're doing with Mindreader, is the Amazon sales experience is kind of customer goes, they order the product, it gets delivered, bang, that's it, end of story, unless something goes wrong and they do a return. Yeah. And then there's another interaction with Amazon, it gets kicked off the next time you buy a product. But if you've bought a chair, Amazon doesn't really care about how that chair is working out for you. Okay? In a service provider world, and indeed any industry where you've got a continuous service that's being provided to a customer, that customer experience is every second of every hour of every day. And the only part of that stack that really understands how we are delivering that experience for the customer is the network. Mm-hmm. So what we've done with Mindreader is taken that intent, that model of the customer, out of all of those other parts of the system into a single intent qualification manager, so that in the first place that model is consistent across all our layers in the stack, but it's also exposed out to the network. So if we make a sale for a 2 megabit service, that's great. We have an understanding that the intent was to get a broadband service at a low price. The network goes and sees, hey, this customer's generating a whole lot of traffic that looks like Netflix. And the intent modeler says, well, their intent is to stream video. The intent modeler goes and looks, hang on, the intent that they bought the service with is different to the intent they appear to be using the service for. Let's start a conversation with the customer. Let's say that the product you've got actually doesn't match what you're trying to use it for. Or you get even more clever, and this is where we'll head with phase 3, and you start getting the network to interact and say, let's turn their service up. Make sure we're delivering against the intent they're demonstrating now, and then go and have the conversation about the fact that they need to uplift their plan. So we're turning it from a conversation that's an upsell opportunity to one that's really based around the value that's being delivered and experienced by the customer.
Thank you, Andrew. I want to move on to Jenny for a moment. So this stack obviously addresses customer experience from the network all the way up to customer-facing applications like the commerce application, for example, or in fact any other mobile app that may be part of the solution. So obviously I know that your fulfillment and your provision activation pieces are like Flow One, Service Management Platform, as part of the solution. But what's really interesting is that you have a sort of a bi-directional customer care piece in this part of the solution that is very, very interesting. I wonder if you can talk about that for a moment and tell us why the idea of actually incorporating customer care into this stack is important.
Sure. So in one word, it's customer experience, right? That's key.
Right.
In the market today, just as everyone's mentioned, the customer's needs have changed. They want immediate gratification. They want the Amazon experience. And that's where the bar is set. So we need to go beyond that. And today we do that in the customer care in troubleshooting. We also do that in the fulfillment process by integrating with both Salesforce and CloudSense. We start to anticipate what the customers need when they're ordering and offer those things up to them. We also anticipate in the troubleshooting cycle by doing proactive care, for example, and upsells in the troubleshooting cycle. But why can't we go one step beyond that?
Right.
And be a real mind reader? Because we have all this valuable network data. So for example, my son's a gamer. He loves to game. So he's got his cell phone, he's gaming on his cell phone, he runs out of bandwidth, his application crashes. He's mad for the rest of the day. Like, I don't want to deal with him the rest of the day. But we know this at the network level. So what if real time we can see that this is happening and we predict what to serve up to him? So hey, if you want a 5G service, which will give you a better customer experience, we text this out to him and he can purchase it immediately, get back online. I don't have to deal with him the rest of the day.
And if we can anticipate that ahead of time and say, okay, well, let's tune that service up temporarily to make sure he's still getting the experience. That little voice in the back of your ear isn't there anymore, right?
Exactly.
We've delivered a great experience to the customer. We've given them an opportunity to take a higher value product from us. Everyone wins.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I'd like to add that not only did you create here an upsell, but you also reduced the cost to serve because you eliminated the need to call the contact center because you were proactive, reaching out to the customer first and notifying them about this the issue that is brewing up here with the bandwidth and proposing that upsell.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I want to take just a minute to kind of set the context and explain a little bit more about the solution before I ask some more questions of our panelists. So the idea really behind MindReader is that we've connected commerce from the network all the way up to actual commerce, right? Why commerce? Why are we focusing so much on commerce? I've been having a lot of very interesting discussions with Yossi on that point. The reason we focused on commerce is because that's where the action happens. That's where the customer expectations, customer engagements, buying, selling, customer care, all comes to a head. As far as a customer is concerned, that is all they know and see from their service provider. It's really that commerce experience. Now notice that I'm not calling it e-commerce. E-commerce is a concept of the 20th century. It is all about commerce, which is digital, physical, stores. It's all a combination of what the customers want, and that's how we cater to their expectations and needs, right? So that's why commerce is really the sort of the frontier for this solution. So I want to just throw it back to you, Yossi, if you can give us your perspective on why you think the commerce is a place to begin for delivering these kinds of experiences.
Yes, as I mentioned, customers are turning to this channel more and more. If you look at banking, for example, customers today do their banking. They join, they open accounts online, they do their banking online, they even get service online. And other industries are turning to digital channels. So this industry, the telecommunication industry, has to cater for that channel. But because we have a lot of complexity, we got to connect that commerce channel. We cannot have it as an island. We need to connect it to the single product catalog, to the network. We need to connect it to the data that we have on customers and on our products, because otherwise it will be a disparate experience. And it also impacts the conversion rate. It impacts the revenue that we can attain from these channels.
Right.
So this, in my mind, this Catalyst is critical, first of all, because it identifies intent. So that helps to hone in on moments of truth of customers that are shopping or are interacting with your brand. But also the fact that it's connecting the experience from the channels all the way to the network, to the catalog, to the product.
Right.
That's what I think is valuable.
So Andrew, one of the questions that I always get when I show this demo, just because, especially from the younger people who are used to, who are digital natives, who are sort of expect these kinds of experiences, the question is, well, people are already doing this. Like Amazon does it, Apple, Google. What's so special about this, right? And I just want to, I know Andrew alluded that to a little bit, but I think I want you to kind of really drive that point home, because this is beyond going with, although Amazon, absolutely, I respect Amazon for setting the bar for this. I want to ask why that is. Why can't telcos do that?
Well, they can, right? And that's what we're demonstrating here, but they don't.
Or why haven't they been able to do that until we came along?
Look, they haven't been able to do that because, as Yossi said, that model of the customer, that information about what they want, when they want it, why they want it, just is in the wrong place at the wrong time. So the Catalyst is fundamentally pulling that model of the customer and their intent up and out into a separate element. So if you look at the architecture slide we've got up, on the left-hand side there is a new element that we haven't seen before, and that's the Infosys Intent Qualification Manager. And that's really the secret sauce behind what we're doing. It's where the customer model goes, it's where the intent model goes, and it's where the artificial intelligence starts to come to play, where we start to take the network information, the assurance information, the sales information, and mash it all together and understand what is this customer trying to do at this point in time, and does it match the expectation that was set at the time that we sold a product to them. That way we can start to really tune the experience and deliver the absolute best product for that customer at that point in time. And I was talking to one of our carrier friends today, and they brought up the example of, sometimes this might not work from a revenue perspective in favour of the carrier. So you might say, okay, well, the customer's bought a, 10 meg plan. Turns out they're only consuming 2. Dial it back. It's kind of the right thing from a customer experience perspective. And whilst the revenue might be different, you're gaining stickiness with the customer. So the ability to tune the product in both ways really comes from having a consistent model, understanding why the customer is buying our product, and giving them the best possible experience, giving that knowledge.
Right, and just picking up on that note is that note on tailoring things that you alluded to. So that's one point that we're kind of going beyond the Amazon model in this case, is that as we understand the customer's intent, as we learn about the customer, and it's an ongoing process, as Andrew mentioned, we're always continually learning about the customer as we engage with them. One of the things that the Catalyst shows actually, that when you first start your journey on the commerce portal, for instance, and we ask a couple of questions, and once we get the answers, then we start tailoring and personalizing the entire commerce experience for that one customer alone. In fact, the UIs adjust themselves based on your learning. For example, you say, as a customer, that I'm only interested in Apple devices. Well, we're only going to show you Apple devices. And we're going to recommend which one is the best device for you based on what you told us. Same thing goes with your tariff plans. Same thing goes with additional options that you select, right? So as soon as you come into the commerce portal, that's your journey starts. We start interacting with you, or I should say the solution starts interacting with you, and it tailors itself. It keeps tailoring and tailoring itself and refining itself until it really meets your expectation. That's where I guess it stops, because you get what you want as a customer, right? And then, so ultimately all that experience, the commerce layer needs to be connected to the CRM, because we need to have a single view of the customer. That's where Salesforce comes in. By the way, the commerce layer that we are leveraging in this solution is the Salesforce Commerce Cloud application. So that, as you can see, is sitting at the very top here, that is serving the different channels. Now, one additional concept that I wanted to really drive home here is that we've been talking about omnichannel for a very, very long time. Omnichannel, 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 which is absolutely a must-have. It is a given, but in I would say a lot of operators are actually delivering an omnichannel experience, but that comes at a very, very high cost. And the reason for that is that in order for any operator to enable omnichannel customer experiences and engagements, they have to spend a lot of time and effort to put all those fragmented, disparate systems that Yossi was talking about together. So you end up with a very complex architecture that is ultimately delivering omnichannel, but it's doing it at a very, very high cost, in a very, I guess, what's the opposite of agility, in a very slow manner, right? That's really the essence here. Yossi, please.
I just wanted to also add one of the other values that we bring here with this Catalyst is usage of data.
Yes.
Data that operators already have. They already have it in the network. They already have it in their billing. There's a lot of data, usage data, product data. The data is there, but like back to what you were saying, most operators are not using that data.
Correct.
And this Catalyst shows how you can use the data to become predictive and proactive. Predictive in knowing what the customer is intending to do, but then proactively reaching out to the customer.
And it transforms the commerce conversation we have with the customer from a point in time, which is that initial sales instance, to the lifetime of our relationship with that customer.
Yeah.
We're constantly looking at the way that they're using their service and tailoring the product and offering them new products to make sure that at all times they have the best of our range of products to satisfy what they need to do.
So one very, very important part, and very, very cool part of the solution, Jeannie, as you obviously as you well know, is the idea that customer care, trouble ticketing is obviously touching the network, but it's connected to CRM, and it's actually connected all the way to the commerce layer, to the customer self-care app, in order to resolve their issues and so on and so forth. And of course, that is backed by this concept of, as Yossi mentioned, it reminded me, proactive. So proactive customer care. I wonder if you can talk about that a little bit and just explain quickly how that actually works.
So Nokia has been doing this for years, in the network, predicting what's going on, looking at monitoring services. So we're going to know if you're having, say, low bandwidth in your home. We'll know that. And now we just keep advancing that so we can provide proactive care so that you can actually reach out to your customer and let them know before they know, hey, we see that you have low bandwidth. Would you like us to fix that in an automated fashion? Can I reboot your router now? So the customers, I think at that point, that customer sat goes up because you are actually proactively reaching out to them in this instance. We've been doing that for years now, so it makes sense just to move this functionality up the stack into their everyday experience so they don't go away after the purchase, but they're always on our mind. I'm going to feel really comfortable if I'm getting that personalized interaction on a regular basis. Today, we get less and less interaction with our customers, so every time we can, get that interaction with the customer, it's a bonus for us, and especially if it's a positive interaction and not them calling because there's an issue.
It's really trying to resolve a customer's issue before they're even aware of it,
Yeah.
right? And that's a fantastic sort of experience to provide, getting a notification that, hey, we noticed a little problem, it's already resolved, it affected your experience, we're sorry, here's a little something for you. That would be an awesome kind of experience, right? That's really the essence of what Nokia doing in this case. I want to just summarize things since we were running up. We could talk about this for days, as you can imagine. But I just want to quickly talk about the architecture, how that works. So we obviously focused on commerce because that's where everything happens. A customer comes into a commerce platform. We ask them a couple of maybe 3 questions, very much like what Netflix does if you sign up with Netflix. Before they start recommending you movies, they ask you which 3 movies of this list you like. And that sort of starts the journey of their knowledge about you. Similar concept here, we ask the customer a couple of very simple questions, and based on that, we'll start tailoring the experiences for them based on their expectations and needs. What happens here is that as we gather events and knowledge about the customer, Infosys has created a real-time AI platform called Intent Qualification Management. And it's actually is the AI backend that is telling you what the events that you passed it actually means in terms of a customer intent. So if I pass an information about, Mustafa, phone number, wants to port, and he likes Apple, and he's looking for a roaming plan, Infosys knows that, okay, this is a customer that is intending to move over to this new carrier, to this cool carrier, and the fact that he's looking for a roaming plan, and he's actually interested in Apple devices. So then based on that, they recommend an action to the commerce layer. The commerce layer then adjusts itself entirely just based on those parameters. So it only shows Apple devices. It only shows roaming tariffs that it thinks meets your needs. So there's guessing involved, because we're going to refine our guesses until we get it right. But basically, the whole commerce layer in UI is adjusted just for that one individual customer. This is what I mean by this concept of an intensely personalized experience. And then once you're happy with what you're shown, you start your buying journey. You buy your devices, your plans, your tariff plans, and other options, and so on. And now that information is passed on to the CRM system, Salesforce. So commerce and CRM are now completely connected. They have a single view of the customer, and now we can really start tailoring experiences for the customer. Now that's the CRM. Obviously is connected to CloudSense for commercial process management. So product catalog is built on Salesforce. In fact, within CRM is where you're developing your products and launching outward to all the different constituent components. Order management, commercial order management, CPQ, contract management, subscription management, all this at that layer. Now all that is connected to CRM, which has the customer engagement, is the customer engagement master essentially. But then we connect to Nokia for 2 purposes: for fulfillment, so activation, provisioning, but also network inventory and those kinds of things. Also service management platform for managing the customer care aspect of things, trouble ticketing and so on. And then finally, you're obviously interacting with the network, and Nokia is doing the activation, provisioning, and so on and so forth. The very interesting that's happening all the while is that all these different systems that are at play, they're engaging with the intent qualification AI that Infosys has built. It's feeding and consuming information from it. So you feed to it in terms of what you know about the customer. It comes back with a recommendation as to what to do, what to offer, what to say to the customer, to the call center agent, depending on what channel you may be in, right? And so notice that even the charging layer is connected to the intent qualification management piece in case we figure out that the usage perhaps is using more data than you bought, right? So that triggers a recommendation, right? In terms of, you get a recommendation on your mobile device saying, we noticed that this month you bought only 2 gigs of data, roaming data, but you used like 2.5. for the last 3 months. Maybe you should upgrade to the next level of service. And then you start engaging and recommending next best offers to the customer, where they can literally, with one click of a button, upgrade themselves onto the new plan, right? I'll stop here. If you guys have last comments, please feel free.
Yeah, just from a business impact perspective, this Catalyst can hit multiple business metrics. First of all, drive the conversion rate, especially online, because we're showcasing the commerce, but also, some of the customers transition to other channels. But regardless, drive the conversion rate, then also that drives revenue. But at the same time, it can actually increase the stickiness, increase retention. Right. Back to what you were saying about understanding what the customer is doing with the service. And also drive down costs, because the cost to serve can be driven down by being proactive, not getting to a situation where the customer has to call you, but basically reaching out through digital channels.
Yeah, and it really is that opportunity to turn those vast data lakes that every carrier is generating into digital gold. That opportunity to use that information to understand what is it the customer wants, how do I best serve them.
Fantastic.
And the key to making all this happen is connecting that intelligent network data to all that great customer data you have and opening that up into this type of solution.
Phenomenal. I think we have maybe a minute or two for a question or so. If you guys have a question, might as well we'll have a brain trust here. No? This is an opportunity? Everything made sense? That's fantastic. In that case, that I want to profusely thank our panelists. Thank you so much for your guidance and leadership and your vision for the solution. We've been working at this for almost a year. So now we're like best friends. So truly, this Catalyst has been I think we've embodied the spirit of the Catalyst in the best way possible, because we've not only built a fantastic solution in the last year, we've also become really, really good friends, not only personally, but also as companies. So this is a real solution now. This is phase 2. So it's a product now. It's not just a proof of concept, which we introduced 6 or 8 months ago in Kuala Lumpur in the other first Catalyst in phase 1. But now this is now a real thing, and customers are looking to buy into this vision, which is fantastic. So I want to thank you very much for your attention, and thanks again. Thank you.